All right. Well, thank you for joining me. I wanted to produce this video to get you really significantly forward with this project. Each of the students in our 3100 class do it. It's, of course, the MEL Industries project where we're working to, detect the potential of bias from a data standpoint. What I've done is I've opened up my Outlook, which comes along with our email here at the school, and we've opened up the free Excel which goes with it, and I've imported the data from the project right here in module 3 just to recap what we've done, and that data has been uploaded to my Microsoft 360 account, and we've opened it. You've probably seen this before where we have the top line related to 8 or 9 dimensions in the data. This is working through my browser right now. Then we've separated into males and to females. And these two different sheets are going to serve us well as we get into it. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's refreshing. So this are the female column. The gender column is female. Gender column here is male. And what we did last step is created a pivot table by going insert pivot table. And that's what this page looks like. And that was giving us a filtered look at the data by dimension. So we selected the gender column, occupation and salary. And then for the rows, we've summarized them based on unique occupations or job titles within the corporation. And then within the columns we've selected for gender. And so we've summarized the occupation by gender, given an average of the salary across them. And from there, we're constructing this. A pivot table deals with a subset of your data. So a pivot table has to select the data that we're interested in here. And let's bring that back. So the subset has to do with this GUI here where we select the columns, and then we select a way to aggregate the data in them. So the pivot table is a separate it's a separate spreadsheet unto itself that is created artificially through an aggregation or rather A, selecting columns, and then B, an aggregation based on those columns. So it's a multidimensional statistical summary here dealing with occupation and then the gender by occupation as an average. And from that, we're able to solve some important steps within our project, which is, has there been gender bias here? Now, just so that you know, many courts no longer accept this type of study as a way to gauge bias. And we'll show you why in a future lecture. But right now we are not focused on that. We are just focused on the question, is there a pattern where one gender receives more than another within the corporation? So that being the original question, we start to look at the top end of the salaries, which are all female. So the top 6 stages are all female. And then from there, the top highest paid man is a little more than half of the senior people. But as we go down, there's quite a distribution. It's obviously a woman-friendly company from the salary standpoint, but and actually there's a bit more skew toward the females here, just on a cursory basis. But then again, we're looking at, I think there's 300 odd unique jobs. There's 310 unique jobs. There's really too much data for us to summarize, but it gets the study started. So let's go into the data analysis, which is our second stage. So I think we led you through maybe about 6 out of the 8 pages for what we did in the pivot table. And now we're into the data analysis, where we'll probably spend the next video or so wrapping up this sheet. There's quite a few summaries to do. So we're going to employ a few keywords within Excel. One is count if, the other is count ifs, another is sum. And what these are doing is they're aggregating under certain conditions. So the count is merely the number of cells that fit a criteria that we're giving it. And so using those 3 techniques, we're going to look at, I think that's all I can zoom at this point. We're going to look at the total number of male employees, total number of female employees, the total aggregate employees, and then within this presentation, we'll look at how many male and female total occupy these salary ranges, or what we call the salary bracket. So how many male and female occupy the 20,000 to 50,000, or how many male or female occupy 50 through 100,000, going all the way up to 400,000. And then we're going to talk about that as a percentage of male and female. And so in our mind, that will establish a baseline for suggesting whether there is bias there. Now, simply detecting a statistical bias does not mean an actual bias. It doesn't. It confirms the idea that there might be something happening there. But again, and we try to be biased against bias in the current culture. But the discussion will be, is the data enough to move the court case forward? And so instead of engaging, instead of engaging in the debate, what we're going to do is we're going to do what we were asked to do. And from there, make a discussion. What are analytics? How powerful are analytics? Can analytics expose valuable trends? Excuse me, sorry. And can we critique the method of analytics? So if the analytics are powerful, can we make an analytics that is ethical, that is telling us the truth, that is not committing bias in the way that we are collecting data? That's a good discussion. But before we get there, let's deliver some of the goods. So I've begun the data analysis. These are several fields, and the way I've done this is I've selected a number of fields, and then I've merged them. So I go into Home and look for the merge. Right. So we go merge across, and you can see the impact is it eliminates the bars around the cells, and I can say, is that merged? And I can center that column so that it's center justified. That's just a test there, and I'm going to delete that. Data analysis is one big cell, and I've given it a black background, and I've changed the foreground text to white. And of course they're merged, and that will be the case for the secondary title, as well as this broad salary bracket, and then this cell, this cell, this cell, this cell. Nope, that's not true that cell, but it's true this cell. And then as we go down, these headings are also merged, as well as these, and then occupation. No, actually, yeah, no, it's true. These cells were, I think they were left alone. I think these were merged. These ones could be merged if we wanted to. These appear merged. And that gives us this neat and orderly appearance. That takes some busy work. Students tend to put up with doing that work. The intellectual work that we're going to do, though, is parsing the data using a few Excel idioms. So, for example, total male employees. Now, we know that all the male data is binned to the males spreadsheet. And so technically, by counting all of the members of this column, we should be able to find all instances of male employees. And we could do the same thing here where we have females and males, but we would search on the gender column only for the entry of males. But we've binned that data. We've binned it for good purpose. So to look at the total males, you can see that I've selected to do a count of all the populated or non-empty fields inside of the males spreadsheet inside of column B. Now, I don't type in !BB. In fact, when I select this in order to edit it, it gives me the opportunity to migrate to the sheet and then choose potentially a different column. You can see how the C's and D's here are changing. And this outlined kind of animated piece, it shows me the selection I'm about to make. And so I do want to make it B. And then you can see what the choice I'm going to make. And then I'm going to press the enter button. And when I press the enter button, it's going to throw me back to the data analysis page. So here I go, enter. I go back to the data analysis page. Now again, count A is a little bit like count, but it will only count the fields where there is data. And that helps us because at the bottom of this chart is a lot of empty data. There's tons of empty fields here, and that would throw us off if we weren't ignoring that. Good. We do the same thing for the females sheet. I subtracted 1 here. Let's go on over to the females sheet. You can see that I would count everybody in the B column, but I want to go -1 because my first column contains all of my headers. So that's not a data field. So it's basically the totality or the count of all of the rows minus that top row. And so I can sum it by doing a sum, but that's redundant. I prefer to go over to census and say count everything in the B column in census, -1, of course, for the presence of headers. Okay, so that's how to do the top. And I invite you to pause and but I don't want you to type in males !BB. I want you to go and negotiate to that sheet and then select the column that's relevant to you. Okay. All right, good job. So merged, male, female. Then we're going to fill this in with the different salaries, 20 grand through 50 grand. And that'll go up until we are 301 grand through 400 grand for the executives. So let's go through this rubric. Okay, so males, and you can count, you can select this in order to outline. We're going to use, instead of count A, we're going to use count ifs. And you're welcome to look at the Microsoft Excel reference page for countifs. And countifs is, I really like the reference pages that Microsoft prepares. These are excellent pages. They're as good as any book you could read. So the syntax, and the syntax means the structure of the statements. So I'm going to supply the word count ifs. And you can see the word count embedded it in this word count, and then it includes a multitude of criteria. So the ifs pertain to the range of cells, and then the cells that we want to get out of that range. So we're going to supply a criteria, and that's a statement in itself. It's a Boolean mask, and if things match that criteria, they will include it. And so we can keep including different range criteria couplets almost infinitely. I think we can do like 127 range pairs. Yeah, that's a lot. So we're looking at criteria ranges. Those would be selection of cells, and then we'll be looking at a criteria. So as an example, a countifs is issued. We are going to select those are the cells, B2 through D2, and then we want to collect everything that has a yes value in this model sheet. So if we had a count ifs, we could do one range criteria couplet, comma, one range criteria couplet. And so you'll see that pretty frequently. So if I were to dissect this, I have my count ifs, and then I had my males GG. That's the G column, or the salary column inside the males sheet. And then you can see how these 4 parameters are getting used. So count ifs, a parameter is the males salary column, which is this column, the G column. So that includes all the compensation. And then this is the match that we're trying to make. It's all salary entries where it's greater than or equal to 2,000. And let's try to make this a bit bigger. Great. And so that's greater than or equal to 2,000. And then for the second block of numbers, I'd like to get all of the male salary data for workers who are less than or equal to 50,000. Now, I spaced this out here just so I can illustrate it. I can be more, I can have you read it easily. This is quite a lot to look at. I respect that, but really you can see the syntax being the range of cells criteria, range of cells criteria. And the reason why we can put multiple selections or Boolean masks is that we have the count ifs, and the count ifs will allow us to do this up to 127 times. So that will be how I handle this first entry, and you can see I've populated each of these with the given range of salary, and you're welcome to emulate these. And I've done the same for females. Females are drawing from the females sheet. That's why we binned that data early on. And now we're looking in terms of the percentage of males. We're saying, and I can illuminate these cells, if you would give me the amount of males who meet that salary out of the total male employees, that will give us this percentage. And then for the females, we'll look at all the female entries as a ratio, all those paid in this range as a ratio to all the female employees. So H11 to G6. And you can see that all I need to do in order to highlight this formula is I touch inside the cell, and then I touch the formula, and then the terms of the quotient, numerator, denominator, they're colored so to illuminate where those come from. So we're going to, next time we get together, we're going to count. And this is going to be very easy when we want to say, well, what's the average salary by occupation? We have 4 jobs that we're going to look at. It has to do with a stocking associate, inventory retrieving associate, customer service rep, and a category manager. And the way we'll locate this amount is we'll say, we'll go into recommendation and go to the field that matches the stocking associate. So I think I located it this way, and I went to recommendation. I used F, Control F, and that located, and so I could go down to 306, where there's a stocking associate, and I believe that B is the male column and C is the, let's see here. Male is the C column. And then I think female is the B column. Let's go back down to 306. And so the females are in the B column. So if I wanted to link to the females, instead of writing it in, I would just say equals. And when I press it in equals, Excel will do one of 2 things. One, it will allow me to write in a formula, and it will evaluate the formula, and it will give me an error message. Or if I type in the equal sign, it will bring me to a reference, which is another cell. So I think B306 is where I want to go. So 306B, and it illuminates that when you're doing it right. Then I press the enter, and it will bring me back to data analysis. Enter. And there I have the results from that column. You'll see how they look like numbers when it's not wide enough. So widen it. And then the percentage, I would say that is, what should that look like? Percentage, no, the average salary, my fault. I have to do that correctly. So that's not count, that's an average. And I will look back in the documentation what they're looking for right there. That may be the average total male salary. But this is good enough for now. I wanted to get you started on the references. I wanted to get you started on the counts and the count days and setting up the data analysis page. So go ahead and do this for now, and we'll be following up with another video. Thanks a lot. Good luck.